to make money from Copenhagen, to make money off of green initiatives. Our next guest is the CEO of the largest environmental broker in the world. They've got $100 billion in green deals under their belts right now. Andy Ertel is the CEO of Evolution Markets. Joining us now, and Andy, I wanted to bring you in because this afternoon, a lot of these CEOs, Duke Energy, DuPont, Shell, they're all going to be meeting with the president. The agenda is green. The agenda is Copenhagen. Where do we need to go? What is the next step for this country financially and this president when it comes to climate change?
Well, I think first off, it's great that the president's going to go over and show leadership on this issue, because we're not going to get the rest of the world on board without the U.S. showing leadership. What's the next step? We need certainty. We need certainty out of Congress in terms of what is the legislation going to look like for cap and trade in the United States, so the CEOs of these major corporations can go out there and make smart decisions. In the industries that we're talking about that are covered under climate legislation, these are not 5 or 10-year investment cycles. These are 20, 30-year investment cycles in terms of power plants, refining capacity, etc. So what we really need is certainty, so these CEOs can go out there and invest wisely.
Obviously, then you want cap and trade, you want legislation pushed through, I'm assuming. But as we wait on that out of D.C., are there other ways that investors can look to green investments to make money now, as a lot of people are looking for ways to prop up their portfolio?
Well, I think the green tech side is a tricky kind of field to invest in right now. I think that folks really do need to look to the companies that are showing leadership in this area. You know, look at companies like NRG, led by David Crane. Look at what Mike Morris is doing at AEP in terms of carbon capture and storage, because that's a big story around the coal markets. You know, coal is not going anywhere. We're the Saudi Arabia of coal, and if we can get carbon capture and storage to work at a reasonable price, that's kind of the holy grail in terms of carbon reductions.
And Andy, I want you to stand by, but I just want to let our viewers know, and Andy, I do want to apologize now if I have to interrupt you, but we are, of course, waiting on the president to talk about several different issues. We'll see what he has to say when he approaches the podium. But Andy, I do want to ask you, kind of going back to what's going to happen in Copenhagen over the next week and a half. We've got more time to come on the summit. I know that you do a lot of deals overseas, China and India in particular. Are those markets better to trade and to do transactions now than the United States?
Well, right now, the big demand for CO2 reductions comes out of the European trading system. And what you can do is and investors have moved substantial amounts of capital overseas. And it's not just China, India, it's the developing world. We've done projects throughout Africa. We've done projects throughout Asia, probably in about 35 countries that we've helped arrange. And those investments, you can very often create reductions at much more reasonable levels than you can domestically. For example, we're working with a fantastic company, Forest Systems, to raise $300 million for a project creating sustainable forestry efforts in Brazil. You can create credits or reductions. You can make CO2 real permanent reductions for $2 to $3 a ton in Brazil by planting sustainable forestry methods in eucalyptus, etc.